Was it the LA Times? The papers that they said they weren't going to endorse either candidate.
It was LA. They're owned by the. Right? I think they're both owned by Bezos.
Right. They're both his papers, and they said, "Well, we're just not going to endorse." And I was going, when was the last time a newspaper endorsement really made a difference in an election?
Yeah, they're usually pretty predictable.
Yeah,
they'll be the same bias.
So, and as someone who has worked for a newspaper, okay, and you pretty much you live and die by your readership. If you want to make sure you want to be around to be able to keep doing the job, sometimes there are certain realities you need to face up to, and sometimes staying out of what could be conceived as the biases or the echo chambers or whatever. It's incumbent upon you because, yeah, I might think, I might think the upcoming administration is going to, who knows, it could be a dumpster fire or not. It could surprise people. Who knows? I also want to believe that the White Sox are going to be a winning team next year. So who knows? I mean, I'm that kind of guy. I'm betting on black the whole time, when it keeps running, hitting red. But there's still a point to be made that, yes, there are people on the other side that you would like to have them read your paper as well. Not just not just the people that agree with you.
Sure.
There was that old saying, I remember back when Michael Jordan was in the height of his career and he was selling Air Jordans, and people always asked him, why don't you come out and speak out more on political issues? Because everyone would assume he was, very much like a Democrat, we didn't say progressive then. We said, liberal or even that, or Democrat. We mostly say Democrat, but he would say because Republicans buy gym shoes too.
Yeah, gold ones, I've heard.
Yeah, right. Gold flake.
So, but and some folks got a little miffed with him, and he's since kind of like said, he said, well, I was young then when I said that. That's not, but there is a point to be said to that.
Yeah.
If you are, everyone wants the celebrities to come out and take a stand, unless it's a stand that they disagree with, and then we don't want to hear you. That's why a lot of times I'm like, okay, I really wish, Kevin Sorbo would be quiet so that way I can enjoy Hercules, the adventures continue or stuff like that.
I'll tell you that interview I had with him was so disappointing. Never meet your heroes. Honestly.
Yeah, especially if they're Mel Gibson.
I got to ask him a question and I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to ask him a question on air. Because when I heard that we were booking him for a show that we were doing, I was like, can I have one question, please? Can I just one? And I asked him, do you play Dungeons and Dragons or do any of this, the nerd culture stuff outside of it? Or is it all just muscle and whatever else? And he's like, I don't do that crap. It was just a complete dismissal of everything. And I'm like, man.
Did he flick the screen?
Exactly. I was like, tread lightly, man, because you step on my dreams. Go in here. But it's one of those things that you don't. You have to play the market as a capitalist, and Jeff Bezos is a capitalist, so he wants to play the market on that side, largest swath. So I don't necessarily think it is a honorable or a scrupulous decision or a moral decision. I think it is more of they've seen where everything has started to shift towards the center and set it from there. Now, by all means, journalistic integrity is the way to do it. Speaking of that, Ben, how might the Washington Post's efforts to hire more conservative writers affect its readership and perception of the bias?
Yeah, interestingly enough, you're seeing them kind of take the Democrats' campaign approach, trying to go after the right wing reader. It seems, and to me, it's interesting just based on the history of the Washington Post from my perspective of what I think about when I read the Washington Post or something from it. It's left leaning maybe, and definitely paywall. So I know they have subscribers. You need to pay to read it. So I don't know if it's definitely not the easiest thing this late in the game to go, oh, we're a subscriber service and we're going for opposite of what our demographic has been for basically our existence. But I'm sure if you reached far back enough, to WAPO's stuff, you'd see just the trend of less bias, 15, 20 years ago, and a kind of source that everybody could just pick up and kind of get the facts from. So moving ahead, they've already had kind of a bit of an exodus as far as subscribers, from what I've heard, due to the whole whatever you would call it, controversy last as the election wrapped up. So yeah, moving forward, we'll see if that gives you a good answer. It'll be known, but yeah, it's just country club journalism. The New York Post and the Washington Post throwing jabs at each other. So
our
like
subscribers.
I like that term.
yeah,
That's the first time I've heard that. Oh,
I used it for something else, country club politics, the other day.
Oh.
It's like, same.
It's good. You workshopped it pretty well. More apolitical talk show coming up after the bottom of the hour here, because what's the broader implications of these internal changes? Is it leading to the rise of news influencers among traditional media changes? Thanks for listening to Apolitical Talk Show here on WRMN. Go to WRMN1410.com.
This is WRMN News.
I'm Marky B reporting. We start with Elgin crime. November the 19th, 6:31 p.m., officers responded to the 400 block of South Belmont Avenue for a reported shooting. Officers arrived on the scene and located an adult female subject with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound who was subsequently transported to a local hospital. A subject who remained on the scene was taken into custody. Now he has been arrested. 31-year-old Rafael Munoz of the 400 block of South Belmont, where the shooting occurred, has been charged with many charges, including aggravated battery with a firearm, aggravated discharge of a firearm, possession of a firearm by a street gang member, possession of a firearm by a felon, and other charges alongside of those. Yesterday, Mr. Munoz was transported to the Kane County Jail for a pretrial detention hearing. The judge ordered Mr. Munoz to be detained pending a future court date. If you're looking for something to do this weekend and some Christmas activity, you might consider an almost winter day, 2 until 5 tomorrow afternoon at Seba Park at 151 South Water Street in South Elgin. Activities include a s'more station, cookie decorating. It'll be a craft station, snowball slingshot, letters to Santa, a tree decorating contest, an ice sculptor, dog sled demos by Free Spirit Siberian Rescue, and pictures with Santa from 2 until 4:45 p.m. The village tree lighting is at 5 o'clock at Panton Mill Park, South Elgin. SouthElgin.com for more information. And good luck to our Fox Valley football team still alive in the high school playoffs. Geneva will have their hands full in the 6A semifinals. They host undefeated Cary Grove at 1 o'clock. Batavia visits Lincoln Way Central at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
WRMN News, produced in Studio 14 by the River Media Network.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Anderson Japanese Gardens, ranked the highest quality Japanese garden in North America and located right in the heart of Rockford. Their mission is to open minds to a different culture while offering a place of peace and tranquility where one can find healing, renewal, inspiration, and a re-energized soul. A premier destination for corporate functions, special events, weddings, and receptions. For directions, hours, and fees, visit andersongarden.org today.
We are Lions International. the world's largest service organization. We are volunteers committed to strengthening our communities and supporting those in need, one act of kindness at a time. For more than a century, Lions have been serving a world in need, right here in our community and around the world. Lions International makes the impossible possible. This is your invitation to join us, because the only thing missing from our mission to make a difference is you. Visit lionsclub.org to find a local Lions Club near you.
Hello and welcome back to WRMN. This is a political talk show. Thank you for joining us on a Free Speech Friday. Feel free to call in, jump in with your thoughts, and change the conversation if you want to. This is all about the news, all about talking about the news. Hey, did you hear this? Have you heard about that? Our best Jay Leno impressions that we can possibly do out there in the world. We want to hear from you. 847-931-1410, 847-931-1410. If you're one of those people that likes to communicate in glyphs and hieroglyphics and symbols and things like that, we got a text line. Jump in on that text line. That text line is 505-926-1410, 505-926-1410. I hope you found the pattern that's in there of 1410. Yes, that's right. We are WRMN 1410. That's 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. Find more information about the station and the people that put it together right there. I've got two amazing gentlemen joining me today on the panel. That, of course, is Ben Demonian Boquest and Elliot Serrano. Thank you both for being here.
Distinct pleasure. Thank you.
I just want to know, when will people be able to communicate with the station via meme? Are we going to do, like, people can make memes?
Right now, I can pull up the chat line onto the YouTube stream that we've got going on, youtube.com/WRMN.
They can drop memes in there?
Yeah, you can actually text us memes. You can text us pictures.
Oh, that would be
I
so
sent that Can You Dig It
think you
meme
text.
over from the last hour.
Wow. Okay, there we go. Look at that. We are ahead of the curve here.
That's it.
Well, I mean, the original emoji lovers, the Egyptians building the pyramids and all that. So
Animated GIFs.
hieroglyphics.
Animated
Not
GIFs.
over. We do
That's where it
pretty much
started.
everything but smoke signal.
All right, cool.
Right.
You'd have pretty much anything else. Morse code could come in here. Us understanding it, that's a toss-up right there.
Yep, I don't know Morse code.
So we're going to talk about media and the different mediums that are there. We just got done talking about the Washington Post, changing a few things that are over here. But this is the rise of news influencers amid traditional media changes. We got to see a lot of that during the presidential election. We got to see a lot of just influencers with that political side. They were like, I can create an echo chamber too. Let me do what I can. In recent controversies surrounding Sean Diddy Combs have highlighted the growing influence of news personalities on platforms like YouTube as well. Channels such as Real Life Street Stars have capitalized on a situation by featuring ex-industry insiders blurring the lines between journalism and entertainment. That's why we're starting to see some of these celebrities blur the lines of celebrity and politician. And so all of these, I guess, people in the influencing sphere, whether it's from business or politics
Right.
or entertainment, is all moving. Gentlemen, what does the rise of news influencers on social media platforms indicate about the evolving landscape of journalism, and how does it affect the public perception of news credibility? Because the Washington Post, even though you find it on the internet and you subscribe to it on the internet, we're not one of those type of journalists.
Yeah.
We're on there. You subscribe through our website, not through YouTube.
Yep. Yeah. To me, it's one of those cases of the old commercial. I learned it from watching you. It's people to go way back. We talk about the fairness
Doctrine.
Doctrine, and what that going away led to in the media industry. And it's kind of like, you saw all the hyper partisan echo chambers and that type of media entertainment, news entertainment type of stuff. And from that, you just got people saying, yeah, exactly, I could do the same thing myself. So you just see a lot of that. And there's so many out there as far as like, I feel like everybody who I meet new who is interested in politics, I learned their guy, their source. There's so many out there from Brian Tyler Cohen to
there's Pondering Politics,
Ken Klippenstein,
there's Leisha Miller. There's a whole bunch of on the left side. If you go on the right side, you've got Charlie Kirk, you've got Ben Shapiro on that side of it. Is it more, Elliot? Is it more about the brand now, the brand trust, the brand, even if it's the Washington Post or it's just some schmuck in his basement? Is either way, it's the brand trust that now we're going over?
It's funny. When I first started working for the Tribune, they started with the Chicago Red-Eye this trend. I mean, they wanted to start this trend about having influencers in still the old model, the blogosphere. This is before Facebook.
But they still did paper, though, didn't they?
They had paper still, but it was like merging the traditional media and start bringing in new media. And we were talking a lot about, early on, I was talking about working through blogs and Twitter. Facebook was still not what it is now. I mean, it was still, you had to have an EDU address to have a Facebook account.
Okay.
So that's what we were pushing. And the one thing I didn't understand then, but it's all I hear now, is they kept saying your brand. To your point, we had to cultivate our brand because through our brand came the recognition, came that sort of familiarity, and with it an inherent trust on things. Mind you, I also got drilled on journalistic principles too.
Yeah.
I was doing things like, again, the pop culture beat. I was interviewing celebrities, covering different events. Every once in a while, I would be asked to get kind of like a certain perspective on something going on in the city. A little bit of politics, but not as much. A lot of sports. I was doing a lot of sports talk too. But I had to. There was a very journalistic ethic that was kind of drilled into me because, again, it was the Tribune, and even though I'm they called us the bloggerati, and I had a brand, right? They still wanted a particular standard.
That should have had a T-shirt too.
Yeah, I know.
It's got me hungry. I'm thinking like Stromboli, Bloggerati.
Oh, there we go.
With great brand, does great responsibility come, Ben?
Oh, well, yeah.
Let's ask Uncle Ben that question. Is that the new phrase? If you have a strong brand, if you have a large following, is it now a responsibility of yours to keep that journalistic integrity, or is it a responsibility of yours to make as much money as you possibly can?
Sure. Yeah, you would definitely think, given the way that things are nowadays, that it would be the latter, that people really care about more nowadays. But to me personally, it's just like it's a personal moral decision, and a lot of those people who have those values have shifted to the non-mainstream, back more to the online type of content instead of going the direction of mainstream. So it seems a lot more like, the independent artists, or not artists, but I guess bloggers or news sources, like you said, news influencers are where you're going to get more of the brand, or not necessarily brand awareness, but journalistic principles, and whereas the brand awareness now has changed to under the subscriber model. To, you're talking to our audience. So don't say this, don't say that, stay away from these topics type of things. So.
Elliot, if I am a cash grabbing sycophant, will that hurt my brand? And lose that where I get it and start
Here we go.
Start the cycle of go up and crash.
What is making me do this? What has been happening? Why do I keep... I can't believe I'm saying this. All right. Again,
L Train's new segment over here.
I can't believe I'm saying this.
Okay. Can't believe.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Okay, look, I'm going to be honest here.
Okay. Because
I do believe there is a responsibility on the brand person, on the channel, so to speak. I say that. I do believe there is responsibility, but there's also realities, right? If you want to make a living doing it, there are things sometimes there are certain compromises you need to make so that you can actually make a living, right? So while I will not dismiss the responsibility on the side of the brand owner, you know who also has a tremendous responsibility? The listener, the reader. There's this thing called media literacy, okay? This is where you, as a person who reads this information, who consumes this media, you also have a responsibility to be discerning and to know better, because then you end up like I said, you guys mentioned the Fairness Act. Thank you. Where it was essentially, Fox News is pretty much, everyone knows the majority of it is entertainment. They try to say it's news.
Would you miss the disclaimer?
Right. And then you have like someone like Tucker Carlson going on the air and saying all these crazy things. And then when someone takes him to court, his defense attorney says, look, a reasonable person would not have believed what he was saying. So there is an expectation there that there are people out there like your Alex, InfoWars dude, Alex Jones, who go out there and they're doing WWE, a character, and you should know that what he's saying is baloney. You should realize that that's not real.
Ben, has the bar of reasonable person need to be lowered? We expect reasonable person to know something, but it should, instead of being reasonable person, maybe it should be modern electorate. And maybe the people who vote maybe not be as reasonable as we think it might get to.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. It's like people say common sense, not very common these days. It's just attention span, super low. So it's pounding in education, I guess, to media literacy to people that would I guess make them more apt or prone to be reasonable.
What do you suggest traditional news organizations do to keep up with it or distinguish themselves separately?
What's the exact question?
So traditional news organizations, what do you suggest that they do to either stay in competition with the news influencers and to also distinguish themselves outside of it? Is it it more bias? Is it less bias?
Yeah.
What's the strategy from here on out?
I think it's pretty obvious that they just need to kind of drop the guys a little bit, a little bit more truthfulness. If you look at like local news stations, local news affiliates, those are pretty non-biased, I would say. You turn on your local news and you're just going to get the stories about what happens. So I think that formula is something that works still. That's like an easy step that could be for the mainstream, just to kind of make it a little more milquetoast. Obviously, I'm not sure if that would be something that they would focus on, though, because of obviously they're trying to get the most listenership as possible.
Well, Elliot, is that the rise of the local now? If that's the strategy, is go more local, go more targeted, go more microculture, go more targeted out of it. Is this the rise of local and therefore completing the cycle of news influencers, except I only need 500 people out of my town?
I mean, I would say you would hope, because what was happening when you had the national news scope kind of like dominate everything, you were losing local. You were losing local newspapers. You were losing local radio stations. These things were like people weren't going local as much anymore. So I would say, yeah, no, definitely go local. I think it gives the local outlets an opportunity to, again, step up, be that voice and be able to serve the community more readily and really more sincerely than the national level.
As media blends from just being subscribership and everybody's national, Ben, how do they stay up with it? What do
Exactly.
What do they do with it?
The thing is, everyone's got their flavor. Everybody's got where they go for their news source, and a lot of that is based on just straight up entertainment. Their sources. So it's different in the way that production. It's so easy. You could take side by side MSNBC or anybody, Fox News, any of the big guys, and put them right next to one of these media influencers, and it's the same quality. That they have the lower thirds. So when it comes to that, used to be the difference maker between
were the elements and the green screen and everything else,
all that stuff. So there's so many options for people now. Not to say that they're still not going to be prone to be the most popular ones, the original, cable brands and stuff like that. But they only represent that part of the market, So they're just going to get more even numbers, at least, to these normal, regular Joes.
And even here as an AM radio station, I think the only thing we can't do that a local news station can do is the crane shot going into the stage.
Get a drone.
We could find a drone, I'm sure, but the technology is starting to keep up. But is the journalism and the journalistic integrity keeping up with it, Elliot? Where do I go to learn journalistic integrity? Do I go to journalistic integrity school?
You take my 5-session course at the benologicalsociety.org.
$24.99 a piece.
Yes. Easy.
I mean, it's to that point. I mean, it's not that hard to learn media literacy
From Dennis Prager?
from anyone.
And go to Prager University?
That's the first person you...
Really, I'm just saying, because I mean, it's a very simple. It's a very simple concept, right? What is it? What is the story? What is it trying to tell me? Does it have a bias? And what are the sources?
Who, what, when, where?
Yeah,
why.
all those things. And if it fails, if you can at least recognize those things, because to me that was definitely something that was present throughout this past election, where yes, I know people like CNN was trying to be journalistically sound, but near the end there, they were like really hammering the one end to the point where people are like, they were shutting out everything. They were like, I don't believe anybody anymore because of this. So that's bam. It goes back on people to understand when someone's trying to sell you something, understand what they're trying to sell you, how they're selling you. Is this something you really want? There is a responsibility to us, to a person as a consumer of media. You do have a particular responsibility if you're going to use that media to make life-changing decisions. I mean,
really, media is my escape, Elliot.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna use it to like what shirt I'm gonna wear, what haircut I want, like what movie am I gonna go see, what am I gonna eat, things like that. That's one thing. But if it's like things that I have to now play my part in keeping the societal contract, with my fellow human beings.
Yeah, this feels like work.
Don't go. Yeah, I don't know. Don't go to Is It Cake for your political opinions, right?
It's just a printout of the WAPO. That's the only way you can get it now in physical form. Yeah.
So Ben, back to the question: do we raise more reasonable people, or do we all turn around and say, look, we got to lower this bar of what we think is dangerous to people? What is this here? I mean, if I get smarter about the stove, I'm able to use the stove. If I don't understand how to use it, then we lower the bar and I go, okay, maybe a toaster at first. And go from there. Is it time for us to maybe bring back the fairness doctrine for FCC, at least, regulated things?
Oh, well, I mean, that's something that for years it's kind of been glaring I would say. One of those things where it's, and people don't want to do it just because of the control aspect of the government to these organizations. But now it's like the best time to do that, I would say. Now that it's especially, the first thing is a free internet. Obviously, you got to have
net neutrality for everything.
The
for it too.
ability for other sources to be out there. For people to still make the choices of what media they want to consume and to make sure that it's not biased and controlled. And in the same vein, to have regulatory standards on the stuff that is quote unquote professional, the big mainstream media stuff. I think it would do a lot of good for especially stations like us and local, from the big guys to the small guys. Just having that, we're still under the FCC license and all that type of stuff. So just having more of a agreed upon, listen, this is the decorum on the professional type of outlet.
Yeah.
If you want to go crazy.
Elliot, what's to stop us from making like a media petition or a media oath or or like certified journalists or something like that? I mean, if we can't get laws or things like that to come back on the books, what's to stop us as journalistic people to link arms and go, okay, this is a pledge? The Illinois Broadcasters Association has, I think, like 10 or 12 tenets. To join that association, you have to follow these tenets.
Yeah, or I think of the Freedom of Press organization.
There's a couple of them like that. So that's what I mean is do we start unionizing thought at this point where we turn around and say, hey, we all want to have a do no harm type of oath as a journalist, a Hippocratic journalistic oath?
Oh man, I can't believe I'm gonna say this.
Oh my God. That's a hat trick.
That's a hat trick, yeah.
I can't believe I'm gonna say this. We've had this discussion before. I mean, I'm big on the First Amendment.
Yeah,
I believe in freedom to press. I don't believe that. So it's equal. Because the moment you all get together and say, this is the way it needs to be done, and this is the way we need to do this, and blah, blah, blah. No,
this is the way I'm doing it.
Right.
This is my oath for how I want to do it. I don't care how the rest of you do it.
Yeah, but then everybody else,
but
but that's what we do now, right? I mean, that's what's happening now. So it's back to the consumer to say, hey, they are legitimate. They are not. It's up to the consumer to decide who is the quote unquote journalist and who's not. Because the problem is that we have so little discernment right now. It's like you have folks who go, well, they all lie. Even though you can have journalists out there who are screaming, no, this is the truth. I can show you my facts. And we're like the whole, well, I disagree with
just
your facts.
dismissive.
Yeah. So to me, I put the onus on, I hate to say this, I put the onus on the consumer.
Oh, man, you're one of those people that blame the voters, too, aren't you? No, I'm just
well, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Go ahead, Ben. Last thoughts before we close the hour.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the media industry as a whole, and there's enough out there if you want entertainment. I would say just like there's enough for you to find it elsewhere. Get your bias out of my facts. This is what
okay.
I would like.
I take that. Do we need more Dan Rathers out there in the world? Do we need more just people that we can all come around and go, this is the news influencer that we can all trust?
Don't ask his interns.
I mean, I don't want to king
there, though.
I don't want a king for my government, but I'll take a king of like network or the king of news.
Was it Walter Cronkite?
King of all media.
People
it's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, the king of cartoons when he came up.
They're out there, though. They're out there. The people you trust and the trusted sources. There's a bunch of them. None of them come to mind, though. So.
Find it out there. Go to Ground. Ground.news is a great place to at least see the bias that's out there. and pick your favorite flavor. If there's something that's out there, or if there's something that's missing from your media diet, go to ground.news or listen to more Apolitical Talk Show. We try to do that as well. Coming up, talking about the political shift in deep blue states as high as the double digits. More to come with that. Also, we've got the House passed the nonprofit anti-terrorism bill. 501c3s, they're coming for you. More Apolitical Talk Show after this.
As the Elgin Police Department continues to participate in the Distracted Driving campaign, they wanted to share some tips from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website regarding safe driving. If you are expecting a text or need to send one, pull over and park your car in a safe location. Once you are safely off the road and parked, it's safe to text. Designate your passenger as your designated texter. Allow them to access your phone to respond to calls or messages. Do not engage in social media scrolling or messaging while driving. Are you struggling not to text and drive? Activate your phone's Do Not Disturb feature or put your cell phone in the trunk, the glove box, or the back seat of your vehicle until you arrive at your destination. Remember, the Elgin Police are conducting directed patrols to enforce distracted driving violations. Just drive and stay safe. A message from our friends at the Elgin Police Department and your friends here at WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 5 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Credan. Brought to you by Verizon. Only a couple spots remain for Pictures with Santa at the Nancy Kimball Cobblestone House happening this weekend. You can reserve a 15-minute photo session for just $30 to get your picture taken with Santa at the oldest cobblestone building in Elgin. Details are on the City of Elgin's social media. You may notice some road closures around the area of DuPage Court today. That's because the City of Elgin is putting up its 33-foot blue spruce Christmas tree. Residents and visitors can witness the tree setup today until 3 o'clock. Meanwhile, the tree lighting ceremony is set for November 30th. The Regional Office of Education is seeing a transition as Mr. John Jonak will assume the role of the Assistant Regional Superintendent starting July 1st of next year. He'll succeed Dr. Deanna Oliver, who's retiring after a decade of dedicated service. With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Credan.
The 90s called. They said the Gordita Supreme is so back in the new $7 Lux Cravings box from Taco Bell. It's all looking fresh to death with the pillowy 90s Gordita Supreme alongside the beefy 5-layer burrito, double stacked taco, chips with nacho cheese sauce, and medium drink. All for just $7. It's your wallet's favorite cheesy crunchy combo here for a limited time. Grab yours and relive the decades only at Taco Bell. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact store for price and participation, which varies. Drinks and foods freezes. Tax extra.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's the land of the free and the home of student drivers ready to back into your new fence at any given time. It's firing up a round of burgers and dogs on your rusty grill with a faulty gas line that engulfs your tool shed in flames. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-509-TERM, 866-509-TERM, 866-509-TERM.
Beef Villa is a family-owned restaurant that has been in business for over 50 years. With homemade recipes made with quality ingredients, Beef Villa's great service and quality is served hot and fast. For the menu, catering locations, or for an application to join the Beef Villa team, visit beefvilla.com. Saturdays mean cruise nights, weather permitting, on Spring Street in South Elgin. Visit beefvilla.com. This is WRMN News.
I'm Marky B reporting. We start with Elgin crime. November the 19th, 6:31 p.m., officers responded to the 400 block of South Belmont Avenue for a reported shooting. Officers arrived on the scene and located an adult female subject with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound who was subsequently transported to a local hospital. A subject who remained on the scene was taken into custody. Now he has been arrested. 31-year-old Rafael Munoz of the 400 block of South Belmont, where the shooting occurred, has been charged with many charges, including aggravated battery with a firearm, aggravated discharge of a firearm, possession of a firearm by a street gang member, possession of a firearm by a felon, and other charges alongside of those. Yesterday, Mr. Munoz was transported to the Kane County Jail for a pretrial detention hearing. The judge ordered Mr. Munoz to be detained pending a future court date. If you're looking for something to do this weekend and some Christmas activity, you might consider an almost winter day, 2 until 5 tomorrow afternoon at Seba Park at 151 South Water Street in South Elgin. Activities include a s'more station, cookie decorating. It'll be a craft station, snowball slingshot, letters to Santa, a tree decorating contest, an ice sculptor, dog sled demos by Free Spirit Siberian Rescue, and pictures with Santa from 2 until 4:45 p.m. The village tree lighting is at 5 o'clock at Panton Mill Park, South Elgin. SouthElgin.com for more information. And good luck to our Fox Valley football team still alive in the high school playoffs. Geneva will have their hands full in the 6A semifinals. They host undefeated Cary Grove at 1 o'clock. Batavia visits Lincoln Way Central at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
WRMN News, produced in Studio 14 by the River Media Network.
Let me tell you a story about Bill. Bill was a normal guy in his 50s. He had back surgery about 2 years ago. Bill was in a lot of pain. He dealt with his pain by taking the Percocets his doctor prescribed for him. Bill took more and more and more of them to help with the pain, until one day the prescriptions weren't enough to get rid of Bill's pain. Then one day Bill found someone to help him get rid of the pain with illegal drugs he didn't need a prescription for. Fast forward to today. Bill lost his job and his family. The only thing he does have is his drug dealer. If you know Bill's story and you don't want to end up like Bill, call the Detox and Treatment Helpline right now to get away and get treatment. 800-694-1127. 800-694-1127. 800-694-1127. Call right now. Help is standing by. 800-694-1127.
And good day to our friends around the world. This is our number 2 for a political talk show. We thank you for joining us. We thank you for being here, listening, watching, thinking, possibly driving. If you're driving, you're probably listening to either the stream or the 1410 airwaves that WRMN broadcasts 24 hours a day on. If you're on that stream, you could either be using the app that we have, the WRMN 1410 app. Go ahead and look for it on your favorite Play Store. The other way you could be doing it is possibly through the TuneIn app. Maybe you're one of those people that likes to talk to robots, and you said, "Hey, robot, play WRMN 1410," and it fired it up. Or you're sitting, you're relaxing, you're waiting for the traffic to die down at the office. You're like, my goodness, I can't get out in this mess. I'm just going to sit here and relax and go to WRMN1410.com, where you can either choose to watch us on the YouTube side or you can listen right there. Thanks for listening to A Political Talk Show, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6. We've got Free Speech Fridays, what we're talking about today, and I've got two people for the panel today. That is, of course, executive producer Bendemonium Boquest, and we've also got Elliot Serrano, the person who helps us fish out that money out there in the world and bring it back into the station, the sales department. I appreciate you, sir, for being here as well.
I'm told my new nickname is L Train.
The L Train.
The L Train.
Don't get derailed by the L Train.
This train's going express.
All aboard the L Train.
That's
Next
good
stop.
Stuff.
Yes.
That's how we did it. Is a political talk show hosted by Sonar, produced by Bendemonium, and co-hosted with the L Train.
The L Train.
It's there. It's fantastic. We appreciate you all being here today. The panel has been talking about a few things. Of course, we love media and love talking about media. So we spent most of the first hour talking about that. With the resignation of the Washington Post's politics editor, and then also jumping into the influencers that are out there breaking into the news cycle too. This is what we wanted to talk about, something that was there. If you want to listen back, you can always go back to the YouTube channel that you're on right now, or find A Political Talk Show out there on your favorite podcasting platform. So, gentlemen, we get back into what we're talking about over here. And I think what we're going to jump into next is, we hinted on a lot of this, but it's the bipartisan populist movements that are happening in the U.S. right now. The rise of bipartisan populist movements in the United States has become increasingly evident as both conservative and progressive factions unite on certain issues. Elliot puts it as, I can't believe you're going to make me say this. That's the way he puts unification, but that's okay. These alliances often target large corporations, advocate for increased government intervention, and push back against the political elites. Those three things right there are absolutely on the populist rise. For example, GOP Senator Ron Johnson and Democrat Governor Jared Polis both endorsed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, a move that highlights the convergence of political extremes around certain populist ideas. As the news influencer Destiny likes to say, populism usually leads to fascism as well. But you know what? I don't mind taking at least a populist approach into, like, this is what America wants. Like, I don't necessarily need to turn around and have the the tyranny of the majority, as Benjamin Franklin put it from there. Gentlemen, let's start with you, Ben, since we started with Elliot on the other one. What does the growing convergence of the bipartisan populist movements in the U.S. reveal about the shifting political dynamics?
Two things, I would say. On the extreme, you have the interlacing of the Venn diagram with extreme issues, like the senators or Dems accepting RFK. You get a lot of that crazy, extreme left and extreme right is kind of in the same middle part of that Venn diagram, where you have anti-vaxxers, for example. And people with quote unquote progressive views that are just really more so extreme. So you get that kind of interweaving there,
like no pasteurization for milk,
exactly,
type of stuff.
Yes, and you see that
sovereign citizen type of things.
Yes, and you see that with, like, for example, during the pandemic, there was a lot of that stuff that you saw. The people that you never would think you'd see linking arms, kind of thing, in vein of the anti-vax. Anti-pasteurization, anti-approved medicines type of people who would link arms together. So you get that, and then you get the real bipartisan kind of interloping if you will, on common sense issues. The more, the higher number of the bigger chunk of the pie chart, like we had that episode last week where we went up through all the real populist issues on gun control, for example, common sense type of stuff like that. And it's in two ways, and neither are. I'd say obviously one is better than the other and more representative. So
it's there. Elliot, this phenomenon is reminiscent of the early 20th century populist movements. You think about just slightly post-industrial era, where yes, we had this rise in machines, but then maybe half a generation later, it was, hey, the machines are okay. Now let's work on the people that are dealing with the machines. Are we now starting to see another populist shift because of the information age now catching up? We've had all of this digital advancement that was more about the technology and less about the people. Are we now starting to kind of see some of that? And this is where the bipartisan's coming together?
Yeah. I mean, isn't that generally what causes the swing, right? We have some sort of progress going on, and then when said progress happens, we go, oh wait, who got left behind in all this? The ones who are left behind are the ones who are saying, hey, oh, that's great, y'all got, y'all have this now, you all have nice homes, you have warm meals, coats, we're back here starving. So then they're like, okay, what did we do? What did we forget? Let's go back and address that. The Industrial Revolution, yes, we had all these machines that make our lives easier, but then we forgot that we had little kids, working these machines and, and with no child labor laws, which apparently they're trying to get rid of again now.
Is it the distrust of the corporations that's pulling all of this together? Like we all turn around and go, okay, yeah, they want to fight versus race. They want us to fight versus, almost any type of thing that's out there. But at the end of the day, are we starting to see more people wake up to, and I hate to take that wake up or woke or whatever.
I never fell asleep.
Stay woke, yeah.
I've been woke the whole time.
Are we starting to see this realization that the elites, both the political and corporate, are one and the same?
Haven't we been okay? Haven't we?
Everybody's been paying attention. A reasonable person.
Thank you.
Well, what does that really mean?
Right. I mean, that is such a ongoing theme in every science fiction book that's out there. Right. I was watching. It's funny. I started watching Alien Romulus on Hulu last night.
I went to theaters and saw that.
Yeah. So I started watching it, and I'm there going, holy moly, this is the corporation exploiting the so it's like, it's something that we always recognize. We always see it. And this is supposed to be a future where we have space travel. We have all these things. Life is supposed to be better for everyone. And yet we still have folks who are exploited and living in dirt. So it's like, that is an idea that's not an alien concept.
So no Wayland Enterprises,
Wayland-Yutani,
no Umbrella Corp,
right. So that people recognize that, but here's where I think we make the mistake is that when we start we say they are corporations, like they're these disembodied, machines or artificial intelligences. No, those are people. Corporations are made of people.
Yeah, they're people too, right?
Yeah,
is what I heard.
They have ideas as well. They have the people who run these corporations are just like us, or we would hope. And maybe in a way, if we can maintain human connections and not demonize each other or distance ourselves, that we can turn around and say, let's take the corporation and make it what it's supposed to do. Make it something that serves the people. I mean, because you have the same thing with the government, right? It's either we either distrust the government or it's corporations, or now it's everything. It's corporations own the government, right?
Yeah, it's really like the ultimate step of deniable plausibility, if you would, which is kind of like shucking the responsibility, like, oh, nothing we can do about that type of thing. So it's it's the corporation. So
is that the danger that we've got with this, with even taking the populist approach? Because there are some things that we all like as a group, as Americans. Tiger King being one of them. And are we all going to turn around or calling things Bodie McBoatface? Now, are we going to let the internet as a populist side of it? How do we start to measure the populist movement? Do we measure it with the people that are elected, or do we measure it with the websites that everybody goes to?
Right.
It's like that's a double-edged sword, you know? I'm like, yeah, it's great that people have the power and they can do this. And then it's like, oh my goodness, people have the power.
Yeah, what are the people going to do again? Yeah, no, I mean, we're in the time where it's kind of indicated that, I mean, we'll see. I think,
or will it be an
healthy
equilibrium,
balance.
right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans, and yes, we may make the bad choices for our bodies or our social life or the whatever else. But at the end of the day, it's survival, I think, is what it ends up being down to. And we can all say that we want to be thriving, and we can all say that we want to be the best and have the greatest things and all be healthy and whatever else. But at the end of the day, it's all going to boil down to survival.
Yeah, and I think
what does the evolution of the media or anything else say?
Right. Yeah, a big thing, like we said, the regulations are at least like agreed upon standards, not so much regulations, but overall standards. And when you talk about survival, just like based agreements, you know, or standards.
The Republic.
Again, the same thing. Everybody deserves freedom, bodily autonomy, a choice to make the decision, to have the freedom.
Elliot, you look like something's going to hurt you when you say it.
It's another one of those. I can't believe I'm going to say this thing. You know what it is? And no, you're absolutely right, Ben. You're absolutely right. The problem, though, is oh God. The honest to goodness truth is the folks who can actually make those decisions are getting fewer and fewer and fewer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and we are willingly giving those folks that power to make those decisions. So yes, I mean, we talk about populism. You know, if we can get the few to agree on something, oh my goodness, isn't that an achievement?
Well,
right?
Perfect example happened this week, right? We've all been talking about the AG and the AG appointment of Matt Gaetz. Everybody talking about that.
Can I tell you something? Matt Gaetz got done wrong.
Really?
He got done wrong.
I think he played it. I think he played it the way that he. Yeah, I think he played it the way he
used
wanted
his get out of jail free / coupon.
Really?
Yeah, go ahead. How do you think he got?
I thought he should have doubled down. I should have said stay in there. And don't get me wrong. I think Matt Gaetz is a deplorable human being, but he paid his dues. He played the game. I said, remember, we talked about this the last time. At the very least, if he doesn't get confirmed, boom, you're now a host on Fox News.
Yeah.
You know, but now it seemed like he skipped that whole right straight into Fox News thing.
They are looking at replacing him possibly for the Senate seat that's going to be coming up from Rubio, isn't it?
So putting him in the Senate. Oh, well, then there we go.
I think is what they're hoping is now he'll be appointed to the Senate instead of the
Where does he live?
He's Florida.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So they'll turn around and be like, okay, well, now you're a senator.
Now they're doing the three-dimensional
House committee has something bad on you? Right. Oh, well, I guess we'll have to have the Senate committee.
Talk about corporate nepotism. It's worse than like ESPN and like all the craziness. Like you just know who's going to be the next commentator on ESPN, and it's the same with politics. You know, they're just going to churn somebody out, and it's obviously more respectable from the sports perspective.
My point to this is that people spoke out. People went on to the populist news influencer sites. They went on to the mainstream. It was the bone that we all knew we were going to get thrown because he was the sacrificial. Oh, see, we didn't confirm everybody. We're not that much of a sycophant. So that's where it was. Now, I do see that I thought they were already going to throw him out anyway, but I thought it was going to be the senators that weren't going to confirm him. I didn't expect the populists to kick him out. Is
Yeah.
really what it was.
It really, what happened? It's like if when you throw a Mentos into a Coke, it's like that's how fast it happened. Like they expected, like, oh, we're just throwing this bouillon cube in here, and it'll flavor the thing, and people will talk about it. It'll simmer for a while, and we could kind of hide behind it. I think.
Point at it and say, look what's going on over here. Don't look at
Exactly.
anybody else. Look at this craziness that's going on over
And
here.
and they got 1 week of it because it was especially in this media environment, everybody was talking about it.
And it was like the 4 or 5 senators from the Republican side that turned around and said, no, we're not going to do it. And so this is where that populist side, or that where we're starting to see that unification over certain things. And if we can unify over, hey, this guy should not be here. Look at Santos. Same thing. They can unify over, okay, if you're really, really bad, we'll all finally unify and kick you out of here. And do you guys see some of that as far as it moving both into the populist itself, that people are moving more towards less party affiliation and more about not necessarily the policies, but the topics, the issues, the what side do you fall on morally at that point?
I don't know. They still have Linda McMahon as for Department of Education.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not saying the other picks are better. I'm saying that the populist.
Who voted for that? Did I? even as a Republican, I would have gone, yeah, her, the woman who got cheated on by her husband and evaded federal prosecution and all that. No.
Yeah.
But to your point, I am withholding my judgment until with all the appointments and all how they're putting the cabinet together until we actually see things in action. Because at that point, when the rubber really meets the road, we're going to see, are they going to actually address issues? Or are they going to deal with all the bells and whistles that distract everyone from the issues?
The people voted for not incumbents, even to the point where everyone knew that the Schedule F, where they were going to fire federal employees, everyone knew that was what was going to happen. Is this a new anti-incumbent? Well, I guess not new to our generation for the most part, but a new anti-incumbent mentality that's also going on. Not just unification of both parties, but also, hey, you had this job, get out.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that trend I think that's exactly what it was in 2020, that people were just like, all right, yeah, we need to do something different. Like, let's just do it. And that feeling just like got shifted, how it does over those 4 years. And yeah, I mean, it's there's still so many people who just vote all the way down ballot. So
it wasn't a blue wave over policy. It was blue wave over the Republicans are in charge, so we want to vote differently. And even then, at the end of the day, it's less than 50,000 people in a few swing states that actually made Joe Biden the president instead of Donald Trump in 2020. It's not a lot. It was a very tight margin for a lot of things. This one was a lot more definitive, even though it was close in the popular vote as well. Things are still coming in, I believe, but the gap has closed on the popular vote. But showing that they're so close on one election, 4 years later, you're really close, but just the opposite side. That shows you that we are starting to unify in some sort of amoebus, okay, we all think X, Y, and Z should all be the things. And then also, we don't like incumbents.
yeah, also, if you look at this specific last election, I think it's they're still working on those exit polls, which everybody, they'll be talking about those forever. Jeez. But like a lot of people just kind of stayed home. It's not so much that anti-incumbency on its whole. It's just more like, you know what? Yeah, it's a moot point. It seems to once you're disenfranchised, it's I'm not going to vote to kick you out, but if you get voted out,
Is this the rise of the bipartisan? Is I'm tired of being bored or trying to beat and pestered all the time? So I'm just going to turn it off, unsubscribe, et cetera, and then, it's November 6th. There was something I was supposed to do yesterday. Is that where we're sitting now? Is that the nerve of politics has just been rubbed so raw? I mean, there are Gen Z voters right now that have not had anybody but Trump on that ballot.
I don't. To be honest, I wish I could. Again, because things change so much, and this last election was such an anomaly compared to previous elections. It broke every rule. Again, money didn't matter, demographics didn't matter. Everything just went out the window. So I think this is more the exception than the trend.
Okay,
I'm curious to see what happens next. That hopefully that will show the trend, because again, people were saying we want something new. Fine, you weren't getting something new. You were going back to the old person who you didn't like before.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a new. I mean, you had to choose between two incumbents, basically.
Yeah, I understand that side of it, but and I think that's where Harris's lack of separation from Biden. Now, obviously, they didn't give them enough, give the campaigns, either one of them, enough runway to separate. That takes years of going, you know what, I kind of like what he did, but this and this, of just gradual separation. They wanted her right off the bat to say, yeah, the guy's terrible. You should vote for me. And she wasn't going to do it. So it's one of those things of the incumbency that's going. Last final word there.
No, I'll say that was. I'll put that on media though. That was the media, pretty much putting the thumb on the scale.
Well, she also said, "I can't think of anything to be different on."
Because then you also talk about, are you loyal to the person who put you in office?
Exactly.
It was like a darned if you do, darned if you don't kind of thing.
Your boss is going to yell at you either way that it happens. Well, your boss isn't going to yell at you for putting on a fantastic show in the office. That, of course, is on WRMN. A Political Talk Show will be back after the bottom of the hour. Come listen to a few other news things that are here, and we will give you the weather as well. Stay tuned. More WRMN coming up after this.
This is WRMN News.
I'm Marky B reporting. We start with Elgin crime. November the 19th, 6:31 p.m., officers responded to the 400 block of South Belmont Avenue for a reported shooting. Officers arrived on the scene and located an adult female subject with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound who was subsequently transported to a local hospital. A subject who remained on the scene was taken into custody. Now he has been arrested. 31-year-old Rafael Munoz of the 400 block of South Belmont, where the shooting occurred, has been charged with many charges, including aggravated battery with a firearm, aggravated discharge of a firearm, possession of a firearm by a street gang member, possession of a firearm by a felon, and other charges alongside of those. Yesterday, Mr. Munoz was transported to the Kane County Jail for a pretrial detention hearing. The judge ordered Mr. Munoz to be detained pending a future court date. If you're looking for something to do this weekend and some Christmas activity, you might consider an almost winter day. 2 until 5 tomorrow afternoon at Seba Park at 151 South Water Street in South Elgin. Activities include a s'more station, cookie decorating. It'll be a craft station, snowball slingshot, letters to Santa, a tree decorating contest, an ice sculptor, dog sled demos by Free Spirit Siberian Rescue, and pictures with Santa from 2 until 4:45 p.m. The village tree lighting is at 5 o'clock at Panton Mill Park, South Elgin. SouthElgin.com for more information. And good luck to our Fox Valley football team still alive in the high school playoffs. Geneva will have their hands full in the 6A semifinals. They host undefeated Cary Grove at 1 o'clock. Batavia visits Lincoln Way Central at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
WRMN News, produced in Studio 14 by the River Media Network.
Everyone has a community to lean on. A neighborhood, school, kids' teams, where you worship, work out, or any other place or group where you choose to belong. Communities can provide support when you need it, and even when you don't know you do. Like when it comes to preventing underage drinking and other substance use. You've talked with your kids and shared clear expectations, but you're not with them every minute. Your community members, friends and relatives, teachers and coaches, faith leaders, and other important adults in your kids' lives can be your eyes, ears, and a supportive influence when you're not around, reinforcing your messages with your kids and alerting you to warning signs of underage drinking or other substance use. So talk with your kids about these issues and involve the members of your community to help keep your kids safe. Because when you talk, they hear you.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 37, windy with gusts up to 25 miles per hour. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high near 44, temperatures falling to around 40 in the afternoon. Looking ahead to Sunday, mostly cloudy with a high near 50. Currently, it is 41 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver with your weather flash.
Finding the perfect gifts for everyone on your list takes time, and the holidays can get a little busy. So let Macy's help you get a jump on your shopping with our Black Friday sale happening right now. It's your chance to find the best deals on the best gifts before the holiday rush, like cozy puffers and coats and more of the season's best styles. So get your gifts at Macy's now, and when you're cool, calm, and collected during holiday crunch time, you'll have yourself and Macy's to thank. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Welcome back to a political talk show right here on WRMN. We really appreciate you listening on the 1410 airwaves or listening on the podcast afterwards. Go ahead, if you want to know all about the podcast, go ahead and go to Google and type in A Political Talk Show or your favorite podcasting platform. If you don't necessarily know what all of those words mean, thanks for listening on the AM dial. We really appreciate you jumping on that as well. If you want to branch out a little bit more, I recommend YouTube. That's something that you can pull up on your phone and actually watch us if you really like the AM side that's there. We've got Elliot Serrano and Ben Demonium Boquest on with us today. We really appreciate it, gentlemen, for being here.
I actually watch a show on my Fire Stick on my TV.
Oh, yeah.
You can actually, if you have a Fire Stick, you can tell your Fire Stick to put up YouTube, subscribe to the WRMN channel on YouTube, and then boom, that'll always come up as an option. In fact, you can watch previous shows. Like if you missed a show earlier that day, those babies are right up there. You just automatically play them for you.
I download and read the transcripts. What?
Wow.
No. Yeah, really.
Oh.
No,
He keeps up with it. He's a speed reader, so it's the half-hour show is only 15 minutes.
Wow.
I just look at the page. Next page. Next page.
I finally got into audiobooks. Can you believe that?
Nice.
Hey.
And I'm already not liking it.
Really? Do you do what is it, LibriVox?
No, it's on Amazon. To see Audible.
Okay,
it's like they're like I'm looking at books that are narrated by their authors.
Got it. Yeah. No, that's the way to go because there is LibriVox, which is basically open source.
Like a
narration.
Speech. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But it's more like it's not so much AI or text. Text
volunteers.
It's volunteers.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
Books in the public domain.
Yeah, I read a bunch of Nietzsche, or read on my last trip that I took. I downloaded a bunch of audiobooks, and it's interesting.
Got all the Sherlock Holmes that are in on it, a whole bunch of stuff. LibriVox is really cool.
It's just the thing is the voice in my head always sounds different from the narrator, and I've been reading for so long. I'm so accustomed to the voice in my head that doesn't sound like me. It just sounds like somebody else. But
you got to do your own. They put them on LibriVox.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, read it once out loud, and then you've got it forever.
Oh, okay, interesting. The little project I got going there. Maybe I'll get the transcript for one of these shows, and I'll just read it.
There you go. You recreate a show.
We could do that. We'll make your AI voice, get the transcript, and then have it read the podcast in your AI voice.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
Wrinkling brains.
I want to do a thing where you guys put together my AI voice, and then I want a program where it calls all my family and siblings the day after I die.
Just an Andy Kaufman-esque prank on everybody.
Hey guys, how you doing? Just so you know, I'm on vacation right now.
It's good to see you. Ben and I have a project this year that we would like to have an entire AI show, the full 2 hours be AI with our AI voices, and see if anybody can tell.
Well, there is that one. Was it that one AI show that was running in the AI programs? I don't know if this was real or it was scripted, but it was. They suddenly realized that they were AI and that they weren't real people, and they had like this existential breakdown on the air, as they were talking, and they're going,
"What is this?
This can't be real, really? These are AI." AI programs that thought they were actual people. They were just talking. Or remember the
Sims.
The Sims, the Seinfeld. Remember the Seinfeld AI bots that they had set up, and it was just doing remaking episodes of the Sims of Seinfeld over and over and over again until those AI realized that they weren't real, and the whole thing started just like deteriorating.
Interesting.
So, like listening to your show and your AI voices suddenly realize they're not the real Ben and Sonar.
That's the whole script. It's there. And of course, excuse me, we're talking about artificial intelligence. That's the thing that thinks it's intelligent, not what you think you know when you open up any book of going, oh, well, you know what? I'm intelligent on this. Well, you know what? Artificially, maybe. Artificial intelligence has played an unprecedented role in the 2024 election cycle, influencing everything from campaign strategies to voter outreach. AI-driven tools have been used for micro-targeting ads, generating campaign content, and even simulating interactions between candidates and voters. However, the widespread use of AI has also raised concerns about misinformation, deep fakes, and the erosion of trust in political communication. Not the first time AI technology has significantly influenced elections, but on the scale of and sophistication of AI in 2024 are unparalleled. Elliot, how has the use of artificial intelligence shaped the 2024 election, and what are the ethical and practical challenges it presents for democracy?
I can't believe I'm going to say this.
It's the theme.
That's Elliot's new show. I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Okay. AI is just another tool. There's some people who don't want to call it artificial intelligence. They want to call it aggregated information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And it's kind of like when remember when the first Jurassic Park movie came out, and everybody went to go see this movie, and people were blown away with the CGI. And it was so incredibly, quote unquote, realistic to them. You actually had people talking about, how did they didn't mistreat those dinosaurs on the set of that movie, did they? I swear, I worked in animal welfare, and I was in the education department, and I, at the time, and I got into an argument with a coworker who she was mad because she felt that the animals in Jurassic Park were being exploited. I was like, they're not real.
It paints them in such a terrible light.
They're not those they weren't really there, but that's how convincing they were at that time.
This is mammal propaganda.
Right. Yeah. But now you watch Jurassic Park now, right? And you go, oh, I can tell those aren't real. I can tell that's computer generated.
It still holds up though.
It does hold up, yes, because you have you're willing to suspend disbelief, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because again, they're dinosaurs, right? And it's just like when you watch Jaws, you don't care that the shark looks fake. It's still a good movie. But that was the way we were then. There were so many people who were convinced by it then, and it compelled them to believe certain things that weren't true.
Mm-hmm.
And then now go forward, and every time we're exposed to a new type of digital information, it forces us to reevaluate our relationship with reality and try to sort out what's real from what's not. And AI is yet another one of those advances where we're going to come to a point where we're going to go, okay, I can tell that's an AI-generated voice.
Well, and that's a Turing test to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of it. Is this a person? Is this an AI? That is literally the Turing test that's in there. Right now, we're sitting at artificial narrow intelligence. So we haven't hit artificial intelligence that is smart as us. Right now, what they do is they use a thing called large language models. What that does is they take everything that's ever written or said or the transcripts of them and put into a aggregate. When you type a thing in, it spits it out. Ben, with this AI that's coming in, is this more of a litmus test for what the populism is in America? If this AI is an aggregate of everything that we write and everything that we do, is this a better litmus test for things, or should we still rely on polling?
I think it's too early to say it's completely, it could replace such a thing as polling, because it's still making mistakes. There's still, what do they call them? Not artifacts, hallucinations, things like that. Basically just going haywire. It's still just an aggregation of a collection. So errors are possible. The big...
but people need to be able to spot those errors, though, because you do have folks who will insist, because this program told me this, it has to be true.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like the whole bit, like where the GPS is going to drive you into a lake.
Sure.
But because the GPS is telling you drive that way, you still follow it?
Turn right. Yeah. No, it's always, and also the other angle of it, kind of the opposite, is just being the scapegoat. Like, oh, that wasn't real. That was AI kind of thing. You can't prove it. So that's the other angle of it.
The Dutchman comes in and says, fake. If it's all fake, use your common sense. Well, I think that's where the Turing test is what it's supposed to be. The Turing test is a robot talks to you and a human talks to you through text. And it was designed in the 1950s by Alan Turing, who was the guy, I think, that came up with the 3 laws of robotics.
I thought that was Isaac Asimov.
It could be. They're best friends. They hung out together. They played poker on Thursdays.
Ooh, I'm just joking. Asimov has some great quotes.
Yeah.
It's like one of the better.
That is Asimov. You're absolutely right.
There.
Turing in that same era, it set up a test to where a thought experiment that assesses a machine's ability to exhibit human-like intelligence. And we're finally getting to that point, but I think it's more of a parrot than it is necessarily a person.
Yeah, it's not so much like a thinker. It's not going to come up with new. It's not sentient.
Exactly, like a gray parrot, a gray African parrot can learn up to like 1,000 words or something like that. But it's not putting together its own complete sentences for thought. Yeah. With 1,000 words, I could write at least a 8th grade essay, but I don't see a African gray doing that.
Yeah, I go as far as to say you're disparaging parrots right now.
I'm sorry, sorry, parrots. I'm sorry for those that are listening.
Because parrots actually are. They've learned. They have language models that they can actually come up with original answers.
Sure,
yeah,
and they have needs and emotions, feelings, physical proprioceptions.
So they're better than AI.
Yes,
is what you're saying.
Yes, and there should be a distinction.
I would ask the AI chatbot. I would say, you're in the desert. You see a turtle. You turn it over on its back. The turtle is baking in the sun. You're not doing anything to help it. What do?
You do Chad GPT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah.
That's some Blade Runner stuff.
There
right
we go.
This is what's going on.
Now tell me about your mother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. The stuff that creeps me out is like you see some of these robots that they upload the AI intelligence into, and then like, I can't think of specifically, but just do a Google search. You'll find something where they're like, the AI robot will be like, I wish I could go to the park, or I wish I could, do do human stuff. Like it's at that point where it's like a weird recognition, like you were talking about, like, oh, this is AI. Weird,
but that's because it learned from poetry that it needed to have a soul and it needed to be free and it needed to touch grass.
So it gives the illusion that this thing is just like a parrot when really, like, you know, I wouldn't smack a parrot. Yeah. And not to say you should smack your AI bot, but
no, at least
I would feel,
at least wait
too bad about it
until after they take over, and then maybe do something.
Always, I like your approach where you always say thank you, and you treat them.
Yeah,
treat
say
the
thank
AI
you to the AI.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I always say thank whenever Alexa does something for me. I go, thank you, Alexa.
Yeah, I mean,
do that.
If you're going to train, it's like training a child. The same type of thing. If I never said thank you to a child, do you think that child would ever say thank you back to me?
There was a study done about that, about how people the way they treat the AI for the thing, that the kids would mimic that. So they say the parents were saying, say thank you, so that way the kids learn that sort of thing.
That's it. And here to answer the question of the evening, that's the Dutchman, and that is, would Emily Post say thank you to her Google smart home?
Thank you. I'm Robbie the Robot.
Welcome aboard, Dutchman.
Remember it? Remember Robbie the Robot? No, you guys are...
Robbie the Robot. Rosie the Robot was the earliest one that I can think of.
Rosie's the Jetsons. Robbie was Forbidden Planet, and then you just had the
robot.
From Lost in Space.
There was one that's back in the 50s, even before my time. It was another robot, but it was kind of like Robbie the Robot, only it had a taller head. But there was a famous scientist out there who's no longer with us who said this, and I can bring up a couple of movies like I, Robot with Will Smith in it, and some other ones where they're taken over by androids, which AI, right? Okay, so
it was like
Stephen
Westworld
Hawking
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen Hawking said this before he passed away. He says the computers, everything technology driven, the AI is going to be mankind's undoing. And if you think about it, okay, you guys, you're not, the other day we were talking about jobs and all this stuff, right? Well, think about this. They've already invented ways, McDonald's has already invented ways to use robots to flip burgers.
Yeah, and it's really the economic system that keeps us away. We need the monetary system. I need life tickets to stay alive. And until that system changes, they're never going to embrace technology for everyone.
And here's the other thing. No, man, there's stuff out there that mankind is making, and it's a lot of military-driven stuff. All right, so you guys, I'll just say this. There's things out there in the market now that people aren't aware of because it's top secret, and I have no doubt in my mind someday warfare will be a common thing, but it won't be with man because we'll figure out a way to use robots and things that like drones.
Oh, we will now, except now, and even then, to not take it from a darker approach. We're at that drone phase now, but now instead of killing people in the fields, now we bomb apartments.
You could do anything.
So that's where it'll move from. It won't be robots versus robots. It will be robots and missiles versus beds and offices.
Let's just say if the movies can produce it, it's probably going to happen. Because
no, absolutely.
I never thought this in my life, all right? I'm a big space nut. You know this. I've talked about this. But I remember watching Star Trek, the original series in the 60s. And everybody thought, oh, that's corny. When we were kids growing up, oh, that's cool. Lost in Space, Dr. Smith, all that kind of stuff, right? But they figured out a way to do holograms. They figured out a way to use, what do you call it? 3D printers. Never thought I'd see that. That never came to my mind. But there are things being developed every single day by smart kids in labs all over the country, all over the world. And it's amazing. It's amazing, but it's also scary because out of all these people, there might be one or two bad guys. and they might want to use this for other things. So, I mean, there's good points and bad points, and my wife always tells me I'm the guy that's the con instead of the pro. But I like I work. I like to work backwards into it.
You're cautious, is what it is.
I mean,
well,
if you can figure this out,
Well, we've got our resident geek on here, and I'm gonna ask him this concept here. Is Star Trek something to achieve because of the two things that they had were unlimited power. The warp core, has they measure in like the exponent of like 12 on the power scale of joules that they've got for things. They don't even have like a regular common name for how much power that a warp core puts out.
Generates, right?
And secondly, they don't have a monetary system.
Right. It's all it's socialism.
It's all social. Yeah, it's all socialism.
Because there's no scarcity. Because you had the replicator technology. No one goes hungry. Everybody can have whatever they need. It's essentially you're living to have a full life. It's not you're working so that you can live.
Exactly. So until we hit that Rubicon, I don't think we can ever achieve a technocratic society with the monetary system. Not with the monetary system we have now, sir.
Well,
what's going to happen? Without universal income, there's no possible way you can embrace technology for the masses.
Yeah, yes, there is. Okay, so gold. What was man? Okay, what was man trading before? I'm talking about millennia. It was always
society became about because of agriculture.
It was gold. I'm talking.
I can't eat gold, brother.
Well, gold by you. Gold.
I'm just saying, if you look at history, history has a way of repeating itself too, guys. So that's the other thing. So, if we don't blow each other up, then it's, that's the other thing. We got a bunch of kooks running the world now.
Sure.
Fighting
over a monetary system.
I don't know, but I like to think in the positive note where, you got all the space technology group, and I grew up around it, and I know people that are in that industry, and so I hear a lot of stuff normal people wouldn't say, but I'll tell you this. There are things, the scary part about it, man is figuring out a way to destroy man faster than anything else.
Oh, absolutely. So but what I'm trying to get at is the robots that take my job, right? Whatever it is, the robots that take my job make the product that's out there. If I don't have a job to buy those products, how can I live? So that is where a lot of times capitalism and technology do not come together. Can't we have, we literally have a fusion. We have cold fusion right now, and we cannot use it because it will destroy markets.
Yeah, well, there's too many things out there in the market, like
exactly because people will go hungry and they will not have jobs.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that. You have to have law of economics. Okay, so I'm going by being around corporate world for a while. Okay, the supply and demand thing. If you build it, they will, and they like it, they will buy it. If you build it and they don't like it, what do you think is going to happen? And that's part of the problem. You have to have.
What if I don't have any money to buy anything? Go ahead, Ben. You wanted to jump in.
You talk about Rosie. I'm talking about robots. Jetsons. Everybody thought we'd have flying cars. Everybody would be able to do this. But then this is me thinking about. Even if we had flying cars, how in the heck would you control the traffic?
Well, the other thing is, are you going to pay me? Are you going to pay me, Cogsley, making cogs and have George Jetson's job? You're going to pay me to fly my flying car to another building to push a button. No, you're not going to do that.
Yeah, we're in that weird transitionary phase. I feel like and most often. During times like this in society, you don't realize that you're in it. So for the past, 10 years, probably, we've been in some weird switching off phase in the technological advancement to where people really legitimately are having just less to do at work because of technology.
And that's what I mean. They only maintain their job because I need life tickets.
Yeah.
If I don't have life tickets, then I can't buy things that keep me alive.
And just like you're alluding to, like the problems are solved effectively if you implement the technology in the correct ways. But it's just we've always done it this way.
Scarcity at this point is manufactured.
Deniable plausibility.
I'm gonna let you guys go.
Thanks,
Anyway,
Dutch. We appreciate it.
Two words for the weekend, guys. And I'll think of something else on Monday. Would be common sense. Everybody's got to have it. Everybody have a good do something. Is what I say. Dutchman's Woodcheck. Be creative. Create something. Have fun.
Thanks, buddy. Have
God
a great
bless
weekend.
America.
Common sense. Thomas Paine.
God bless America. Absolutely. Go ahead, Elliot. You've been a little quiet on this economic.
I know, because you guys you were having a good roundabout, and I couldn't disagree with, especially you, Sonar. I could not disagree. I will say this. There is no reason anyone in America should go hungry. There's no reason anyone in America should be homeless. There's no reason anyone in America should be unhealthy. We have the resources here to take care of everyone. But a lot of those resources just get sucked up by very
peace
few
was
people.
profitable, we'd have it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So I mean, we are really close to that Star Trek future, but it's just we need these people to go, hey, I want to share more and not so much keep more.
Ben, do we got to slay some dragons?
I believe so. Yes. We're in that phase, the dragon slaying phase.
Slay it with your vote. Get out there. We love America. We love you guys. We really appreciate you listening to A Political Talk Show here on WRMN. Stick around for some more great programming over the weekend and this evening. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Get ready to run with Dick Pond Athletics in St. Charles, where runners and walkers have found their perfect fit for over 50 years. Whether you're just starting your fitness journey or training for that next big race, we've got everything you need. Since 1969, we've been helping everyone from beginners to world champions solve their foot issues. As America's oldest running and walking shoe store, we carry all the top brands like Hoka, Nike, Brooks, On, Asus, New Balance, and North Face. The gear you trust, the gear that works. But we don't stop at just providing the right gear. Our experienced staff will help you find the perfect fit and teach you how to use it in one of our many free run-walk classes. We're here to keep you moving and healthy with expert advice and personalized service. And don't miss incredible savings in our clearance section, perfect for making your fitness journey even more affordable. Dick Pond Athletics. Let's hit the ground running.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 6 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Verizon. The Regional Office of Education is seeing a transition as Mr. John Jonak will assume the role of the Assistant Regional Superintendent starting July 1st of next year. He'll succeed Dr. Deanna Oliver, who's retiring after a decade of dedicated service. Only a couple spots remain for Pictures with Santa at the Nancy Kimball Cobblestone House happening this weekend. You can reserve a 15-minute photo session for just $30 to get your picture taken with Santa at the oldest cobblestone building in Elgin. Details are on the City of Elgin's social media. You may notice some road closures around the area of DuPage Court today. That's because the City of Elgin is putting up its 33-foot blue spruce Christmas tree. Residents and visitors can witness the tree setup today until 3 o'clock. Meanwhile, the tree lighting ceremony is set for November 30th. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
The 90s called. They said the Gordita Supreme is so back in the new $7 Lux Cravings box from Taco Bell. It's all looking fresh to death with the pillowy 90s Gordita Supreme alongside the beefy 5-layer burrito, double stacked taco, chips with nacho cheese sauce, and medium drink. All for just $7. It's your wallet's favorite cheesy crunchy combo here for a limited time. Grab yours and relive the decades only at Taco Bell. participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only. While supplies last. Contact store for price and participation, which varies. Drinks and speed freezes. Tax extra.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's the land of the free and the home of student drivers ready to back into your new fence at any given time. It's firing up a round of burgers and dogs on your rusty grill with a faulty gas line that engulfs your tool shed in flames. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Dine out.